What's up, family? It's Mr. Moody, a.k.a. Jeff is Moody from the Jeff is Moody Show, and you are listening to Cousin Ed's Corner.
We love listening to Cousin Ed's Corner in the UK.
What's good, people? How you doing out there? This is Destrin checking in from the Boardroom podcast. We're here with Cousin Ed, with Cousin Ed's Corner. What we wanted to let you know is, number one, we appreciate you checking in with us. We appreciate you liking, subscribing, and supporting the platform. We also wanted to let you know that this is information. This is used for informational purposes only. This is not financial advice and should not be used as such. Please consult your financial advisor should you feel the need to make an investment decision, a financial decision, or a decision that may be impactful to your family from a tax advantage standpoint. What we want to do is bring you content that is eye-opening, glaring, and also provides you the opportunity to explore, ask better questions, and be better prepared for the opportunities that await you. Again, this is Cousin Ed's Corner, and we hope that we can be of service to you. We love you. There's nothing you can do about it.
What's going on, fam? What's going on, fam? It's your boy, Cousin Ed. Cousin Ed's Corner back at you again, no matter how you cut a slice, so we're all here together. I'm just here to give you a piece of my heart, my mind, my soul, and my mentals. That's a mouthful. Yes, indeed, fam. We are back. You heard that great intro from my brethren. They call it the Brethren Show, as in bread, because they getting bread over there. But Destrian Wells, big up to him. That's my brother, not only my brother from another mother, but that's my financial partner. That's my business coach. He does a lot. This guy right here is top notch in his field of finance. So you'll hear more about him and some of his endeavors soon to come. But I wanted to speak to y'all this morning and just I brought a guest today. So my guest is going to come, and she has a wealth of knowledge in the financial sector as well. And I'm thanking her for joining Cousin Ed's Corner and being a visitor today for y'all. Not only for y'all, for myself. She dropped some jewels. This show is very important to me. Being a financial savings coach, I like to help people save money. But she knows the foundation behind the principles of money and accumulating money. So hopefully y'all enjoy the show. Sit back, relax. Her bio will be in the show notes. I'm going to try to put it in the show notes for y'all. If you have any questions, 762-333-2032. That's 762-333-2032. Cousin Ed's Corner. If you have any comments, definitely leave a voicemail. I was able to read a couple questions to her that I got from people over time. But definitely next episode, I'd like to have more questions for her. So love each and every one of y'all. Ain't nothing y'all can do about it. I say ain't nothing. Lord help. It's early. There's nothing y'all can do about it. Make sure you get out and vote if you're hearing this show before the elections. Make sure you get out and vote in the upcoming elections. And whenever you hear this show, make sure you share the show. I'm trying to get the show out to a larger audience. So please, if everyone shares it to a friend, family, loved one, someone that they care about, the show can get heard by the masses. So definitely share the show with your friends and family. Without further ado, I'm going to present to you Dr. Pia Washington.
Welcome back. I am, like I said before, I am overjoyed with having this guest on today. She has been a light for me for the last year or so. I reach out to her often to find out what I'm missing. So I asked her to come on Cousin Ed's Corner for Financial Freedom Friday to let y'all know what you may be missing. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce Dr. Let me make sure I put that dot on it. Dr. Pia Washington. Doc, how you doing today?
Hello. I'm doing well. I'm blessed. How are you doing, Cousin Ed?
I cannot complain. I'm happy. Let me say that much. I'm not going to complain. I'm just ecstatic to have you. For those who are listening, we're able to see each other while we're recording, and she can see the smile on my face. So you know how happy I am to have you here. So thank you for coming to visit Cousin Ed's Corner.
Appreciate it.
I first got to thank you for visiting me before, and myself, Destrian. So I got to give my partner a round of applause for visiting us on Motivational Monday. Thanks and big up to Global Effects Trade Club. So thank you for that. And I know we wanted to have you back, and just with timing and everything, hasn't been able to make that happen. But I want to make sure I'll be able to get you on, that you can talk to everybody anyway. So without further ado, can you tell us a little bit about yourself? That for those who don't know you, I'm going to post your bio, a semi portion of your bio into the show notes. But tell us about yourself, and then I have a couple questions for you.
Wow. Where do I begin? I always feel like that's such a loaded question, telling me about yourself. When I think about myself, I'm a wife, I'm a mother, I'm a yaya to two beautiful grandgirls, and I'm a finance professional. That's who I am. I'm a child of God and a lover of all things education, right? I love to teach in the non-traditional sense in terms of educating. I like working with teens. I like working with young adults. And of course, I like working with the more seasoned professionals as well, because finance is one of those things where as a career finance professional, it tends to be one of those things where it's a little bit intimidating to those who may not have gotten that type of formal education in finance or haven't had any exposure to it from family or other, educational opportunities. So that's kind of me in a nutshell professionally. I'm vice president of financial training and investing for a large business advisory firm, and I also consider myself a financial educator. I have been investing in stocks, real estate, various other forms of investments for the last better half of a couple decades. I don't like to get specific with the dates.
A couple of decades because you not that old yourself. So hold on.
I have been in this game for 30 years.
Okay, you must have started when you was 10, but
I love it. Let's go with that. Child prodigy.
There you go. But for those who don't know your accolades, like I said, I'll add some to the show notes. But this putting the word, and like I said, those who can't see I'm looking at her right now, but those who can't see those degrees on the wall, to put doctor in front of your name tells a lot by itself. So, and to be vice president of a investment firm, that speaks for itself. And your history tells how you got there. So my hat's off to you. Congratulations. I know bigger and better things will keep coming to you, especially with you giving back. So this right here is guys, I'm not paying her. I can't afford her. So she's giving back to all of us free. Okay. I wish I could. If I hit that billion tonight, she will be my advisor. Okay. So I will give back. But I really wanted to do this segment for Cousin Ed's Corner, mainly for myself. I mean, like I tell everybody, Cousin Ed's Corner is for myself. I'm never going to lie about it. It's my therapy for me to get my thoughts and my feelings out. But also, I like to share it with other people. So if you want to join me on the couch, you can, and go along for the ride. So I wanted to bring her today so she can share some things with all of us that just some conversations that may have been missed as a youth growing up, as a child growing up. And I'll lead off with this scenario. And I always I call myself a savings coach. So I try to help people save money, and you help people make money. So it's the other side of it. But I think back and I give this scenario to people about spending, that if my father, my mother, or my family, instead of taking that trip back in the early, I'm not going to say 70s, but back in the early, when I was younger. Yeah, back in the day when I was younger, if they didn't take that trip to Disney or save some of that money from that trip to Disney and invested in Disney, how would that have impacted or could have impacted our lives. And I say that, as a scenario, but today we see ourselves investing, or not even invest, I'm using the wrong word, spending money in companies that we don't invest in. So taking that one scenario, can you speak on that? Just helping enlighten some of the listeners on how they can better see things from a different light, different spectrum.
Absolutely. I think that's a great example. And I always tread lightly on, people who use their money to create memories, because sometimes those memories, so something like a trip to Disney, those can be priceless. So I never want to kind of minimize the impact that can have on young children, particularly ones that look like you and I. However, I will say,
look. Give me the hammer. I'll trample. Okay. I'm saying that jokingly. I do understand, but as a 5-year-old, the only memories I have is the pictures.
That's right. That's right.
I'm being I'm jokingly saying that, and I do understand memories are things you can't get back. So the times at your grandmother's house and the times that you have family cookouts and things like that, you can't get back. But some Christmases that we spend thousands and thousands of dollars for toys that break in the next 2 days, we can't. So I'm leaving. I'm sorry.
I got you. And I was half joking, but I didn't want to trample on that in case, some people say, well, I'm investing in memories, but you're right. When you're 5 and under, you don't really, when your kids are that young, they're not going to remember that. And those thousands of dollars that you spent, not just getting to the park or getting into the park, but souvenirs, the food, it's all ridiculously priced. But I like to let's use another analogy. Let's use actual tangible, like Nike. I use this analogy quite a bit because I feel like when it comes down to spending versus investing, I say, we need to really encourage our young people to invest in assets. And when I say that, an asset is something that is going to bring more money into your pocket. So I'm using money to invest in something that's going to bring more money into my pocket. A wall full of Nikes, not an asset. Mm-hmm. An investment in Nike stock that pays dividends is an asset, right? And so I think really being able to articulate the difference, again, same thing, trip to Disney, not an asset, huge expense. Mm-hmm. Investing in Disney stock, that's an asset, right? So it's just a different perspective, I think. And I think along with understanding the concept of investing versus saving and investing in the right types of things, so assets that are going to generate more income for you. So, whether it's dividend stocks, growth stocks, investment properties, those types of things, certain insurance products, those are the things that are going to reap the benefits that are going to help us to create the generational wealth that a lot of people are talking about. And I almost get frustrated because I feel like it's a buzz word now, or like a buzz term now, like, oh yeah, we're creating generational wealth. I want to pass down generational wealth. And the images that I see with the people who are saying that are, them with their convertible, them with their Gucci, them with their, things, big primary residence, which again, I'm not knocking all of those things, but those aren't assets. Those things don't necessarily create generational wealth. I mean, yeah, you can pass down your Gucci shoes and belts and purses, but the idea that that's going to provide some type of wealth is just it's the illusion of wealth. Luxury is the illusion of wealth.
Well, you mentioned a lot of different things, and I think some of my listeners and some of the shows asked me to peel back the onion a little bit and give a little more detail. So I'm going to hit this one thing real quick, and we can come back into scenarios.
Okay. Assets
and liabilities. Can you explain the difference in assets and liabilities? You mentioned that.
Sure, absolutely. And, it's my definition, or in the investor world, or what I'll say what the wealthy know. So we're talking, I'm giving you some insight to the secrets because, as you know, the company that I work for, we get to see the multi-million-dollar, tax returns and investment portfolios of the truly wealthy. So this is stuff that we're, it's not just me telling you off my dome or things that, I may or may not have done. This is proven secrets to the wealthy. And one of the things that, we will tell you is that an asset, again, is going to be defined as a type of investment or a type of product that you invest in that's going to bring you back some additional return. It's going to put money in your pocket. Toby Mathis, who's a tax CPA and founder of Infinity Investing, puts it very simply: assets feed you and liabilities bleed you. So, the simplest form of the definition is assets are going to put money in your pocket and liabilities are going to take money out of your pocket. So what does that mean? Breaking down and giving some examples. An asset is, I have a duplex or a multifamily property that is giving me cash flow income, positive cash flow income. That is an asset. My primary residence is actually a liability. It's an asset to the bank if I have a mortgage. It could potentially be an asset to me if I'm house hacking, meaning I'm renting out the rooms or I'm doing some other things. I'm able to Airbnb it out and I'm able to generate some income. But just purely looking at, what is an asset as a liability. And what I think is confusing is that when you go to apply for that loan to the bank, the bank is going to say, list your assets. They're going to ask for your car and they're going to ask for your primary residence and they're going to ask for those things. But what I'm telling you is don't be fooled. Because if you have loans on any of those things, it's definitely not an asset for you. It's a liability. It's taking money. Think about your house. Even the houses that are paid for. If you're not generating any income, you've got property taxes on that house, you've got maintenance expenses on the house, you've got all the other things that go around with the upkeep, especially if it's a luxury residence. We got landscaper, we got pool guys, we got all kind of maintenance people coming around. And so I think that it's important to articulate the difference, right? And then liabilities are easy. Those credit cards, right? The car payments, the anything that you're paying debt on is a liability to you, and it's an asset to the bank. My
Macy's bill is a liability.
It's a big liability. And don't get me started on reverse compounding, right? Because compounding interest is how we grow wealth. Because of our assets, I'm invested in several different stocks, dividend stocks. I'm reinvesting those dividends over and over again so that compounds, right? I'm earning, basically compounding is a fancy word for earning interest on my interest, right? So I'm making my interest grow because I'm just steadily letting it, I set it and forget it and I let it grow. Well, what do you think happens with the credit cards? And now it's just so great. I was looking at the credit card statement the other day, and I was trying to show the example, and they literally put in the fine print now, if you only make the minimum payment on this, it could take you, X number of years, right, to pay this off, and you'll be paying 3 times more than whatever you charged in the first place. So who's getting the benefit of the compounding in that example?
I'm a rabble rouser if you don't know. So you telling me that free perfume that I got for signing up for this Macy's card is not worth it?
Exactly. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. And you know what? There's layers to this game too. It's like what we call sucker loans. That's when, you're going to sign over your paycheck loans. Those are the ones that you see in the corners of only the worst neighborhoods, unfortunately. They prey on people who don't necessarily have money. And they, you look at the fine print of some of those loans, even though it's only for a week or 2 weeks, it's like 100% plus interest that you're paying on that. And people don't think, because they just think, it's only going to cost me X number of dollars, right? So they only think in terms of minimum payment or how much it's going to cost them. They're not thinking in terms of interest. And that's dangerous because, to your point, when you go to Macy's and all these offers, I think the store cards are almost as bad as the other predators. Now, they're not 100%, but they get you because their rates are astronomical, but you think there's the illusion of, I'm getting something for it, right? They're offering me a free gift. it's not worth what you're going to pay in interest. And
No.
the only other way that it's worth it with any credit cards,
It's-
because I do a lot of rewards. I mean, I
Mhm.
travel a lot. All my travel is done on a credit card or rewards card, but I also pay it off every single month. I make it a game, like before it even hits. So my credit score, it's like I toggle between 815 and 850 because it's always like I want to be at perfection. 850 is the highest credit score. And so you have to make sure not only are you paying it off every month, I try to make sure I pay it off before it even hits the recording of that payment, that charge that I made, so that it doesn't ever hit on my, on my usage.
So, I mean, we touched on a lot of different things right there in that, but I think one of the main purposes I want to talk to you about is why is this not taught early? What is missing in our community? Is it generational that the generation before us wasn't taught this? Is it you got it? And I'll be honest, I didn't get all this until I got pieces of it. But out of college, I was lucky to have a good mentor that turned me on to a lot of books that I picked up certain things, and I'm still learning. You see, I'm with a certain group right now. I'm still learning. But why is it that this wasn't taught in our community early?
Well, it's interesting because I'm always honest as well. And I have undergraduate degree in finance, and I still didn't know. I didn't know. I wasn't taught by my family. And what they teach you in school, the ABCs of finance, has very little to do with personal finance, wealth creation, wealth generation, investing, right? Like, I mean, I might have taken a couple investing courses and I know how to calculate, some of the, rates of return, those types of things. So textbook knowledge is not the same as real world knowledge. And I will tell you too, it took having a mentor. It took being introduced to books and people and situations and circumstances where I'm able to get this knowledge and again, being privy to people who were taught this and that were doing this and basically piggybacking off of what they've done. So I'm learning from others. And that's why I think it's part of my nature. I like to share what I learn, with others as well, because, Warren Buffett is another fine example. I mean, if you just do what he says do, you would be well ahead of the game, right? And I think for us, it's the reason. But let me get back to your question, which is the reason why. Because I wasn't taught it either. I think it is partly generational. I'm first generational college. My family did well, but they spent well, right? Middle class upbringing. But I'll tell you what. I think that our community. We don't have the right mentors. Typically speaking, as an African American, we look up to people that are athletes, that are rappers, that are entertainers, and it's nothing against or to knock them, but they have a big part of this game is earning, saving, and investing, right? You talked about saving, earning. They have the earning thing on lock, right? None of us will ever be able to compare to what, Michael Jordan or LeBron James or, Cardi B earned, right? As regular working folks, college educated, right? Working folks. So having them as our heroes, having them as the people that we might look up to, it does, I think, our community a disservice, or our young people a disservice, because that's the 1%, right? That's the top of the top of the top. And the odds of our children getting to be a LeBron, a Michael, a Cardi B, or whoever it is slim to none. So then you have to say, okay, well, who sends Oprah? You know what I mean? Like, she's an entertainer as well, though. She made her money in media. So 100%. Who are our young people learning from? If our parents don't know it and they don't teach it, it has to be people like you with your platform, people like me with my platform, whether it's YouTube videos, TikTok. I love doing TikTok videos, but also I reach back to organizations like Jack and Jill, and, I go into different chapters and I talk to their teens, especially the ones that are like juniors and seniors. And I do a class called The Cost to Be You, so they understand, because a lot of our kids are privileged now, right? They're being raised by parents who have, you have a teenage daughter, son, right? But they may not understand not only the cost to be them, but then what's next. Once you get out of school and you start earning money, what are you going to do with that money? Are you going to just go after, the fancy handbags and the Birkins and the Mercedes and stuff like that? Or are you going to learn how to invest and have your money continue to work for you and grow for you? So that's another way that I think we can kind of impart this knowledge to our youth. But it's definitely not being taught in schools. Okay? And a lot of us were not taught by our family members.
Well, you hitting on so many different things. One thing I wanted to speak on real quick. I know who Warren Buffett is, but in our community, we didn't, you don't know who Warren Buffett is. My opinion is we need more, the church needs to do more. And I know as I grew up, I grew up in the church. The church needs to do more seminars, more classes. I believe corporations could do a lot more, but I think that's a setup. If you were to give tax dollars for a corporation to come give jobs, you can also set some stipulations in there that they have some volunteer hours in certain inner cities where you're building these factories and everything. It's a whole bunch of things I could think of that they can do more. But I think with today, I'm talking about when we grew up, that's when we grew up. Today, yes, you have YouTube, you have TikTok, you have all these things. I think we're still fighting against the media, right? So if you have media, if you have the Kardashians showing what you just said, that they could make $1 billion, everybody think they can do it. I can start a new line. I could do this, and it's not, if you don't have the understanding of savings and producing, you want to spend. I think we have a disconnect, and we have very few that are in that realm of trying to save money or produce their own money. One key thing, and I want to take it from you. One key thing that I one of the books that changed my life was Robert Kiyosaki. I don't believe in all his philosophies, but when he said in the book, his rich dad said, "How are you going to make money?" And he said he didn't understand what he meant by make money. He thought like physically make money, like print it. Yeah. And he was like, "No, how are you going to make money?" That right there is plain as day, and I don't think it's being taught. So that's just my 2 cents, my soapbox.
No, I love it. There are so many resources. Kiyosaki is one of them. One of the best financial books I think of all times is Rich Dad Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. A lot of people, to your point, don't know who Warren Buffett is. He's known as one of the best technically value investors, but without getting into the details, let's just suffice it to say this year alone he'll make over $1 billion in just dividends on the stock portfolio that he owns.
Let's stay right there. I'm not sure who will hear this. Some people don't know what dividends are. So can you speak on what dividends are?
Absolutely. Dividends are basically a payment in return for investing in a company. It is a payment of the earnings back to the investor. So certain stocks that you can invest, companies that you can invest in. I mentioned Nike for an example. Apple is another one. They are at a point in their business cycle that they can afford to pay back their investors in the form of a dividend. So it's usually a percentage of earnings, and it's quoted as a dollar amount. So it might be for every share you might get like $1 in dividends, right? And that's usually paid out quarterly. But there are some companies that you can invest in that pay stocks that you can invest in that don't pay dividends. And those are going to be your growth stocks. So right now, like your Amazons and your Googles and your Meta or Facebook, they don't pay dividends because they're still growth stocks. So that means that you're investing in them and they're taking every bit of that money and they're investing it back in their company because they're still trying to grow it to the point where they can get to where they pay back their shareholders. Now, they might pay it back in the form of appreciation. And what appreciation just means is that when you bought Google, you bought it at one price and then you're going to just stay invested in it until it grows to a certain point that it's worth a lot more. And then that's that difference between what you paid and what it's worth in the future, hopefully is appreciated or grown. And so that's appreciation. So you're going to be able, but what I caution people about that is that I hear people, especially with Bitcoin, it's like, oh, my Bitcoin is up. You know, people are like, oh, I bought Bitcoin at this and it's up that. And it's like, okay, but unless you sell it, that's a paper gain. That's an So in order to capture that appreciation, at some point you have to sell it, right? You have to sell it for more than you bought it for. So that appreciation can be on paper, right? But it is not real until you sell it. And the problem with selling it is once you sell it, it's gone. And I'll use another analogy because a lot of people are familiar with flipping, right? So there's flipping a house and then there's a rental property. A dividend stock is like a rental property. I put some money into it and I get some money back on a regular basis, right? So I'm getting return on my investment over time. I don't ever want to sell that rental property as long as it's paying me money. I'm going to keep it, right? And I also don't really care what the house market is doing, because if my house is worth 100,000, or if it goes down to 90, or if it goes up to 110, my rent is my rent is my rent. I'm still getting my income as an investor, right? That's like a dividend. I invest in a stock. I invest in Coca-Cola. That's a big one that Warren Buffett has. I invest in Coca-Cola, and they're going to pay me every quarter a certain amount of money for every share that I earn. Okay. Now, the reverse, the growth stocks, the appreciation, the non-dividend stocks is like a flip. I buy a house for $100,000. I put some sweat equity into it, or maybe I just sit on it and wait because the market is weird, right? And at some point, I hope to sell that for more than the $100,000 that I invested, right? It's a gamble because you're not going to make any money on that while it's on, while you're holding that investment. And then let's just say it does go up and you can sell it for 150. You sell it, you take the difference, which is 50K, you pocketed that, pay your taxes on it.
I'm about to say
pay your taxes on it, and then that's it. And there's no more money. So there's no more money in it for you. You have to go do that again. And then what happens if the market shifts, or it churns in the area, or something happens to the house and it's only worth 90,000? Now you're negative.
Hold on.
You're upside down.
That's what's going on right now. So some people and some listeners that I know of was trying to get their house together while the market was up, and the market just shifts so quickly. The value in their house just went back down to where they was at before. They can't even sell it now. So
it's unfortunate. And it's really with the growth stock, same thing. Everybody that's in an uproar because, the market's crashing and it's correcting. That's normal. We're going into recession. We have high inflation rates. Everybody's like, oh, my stock portfolio is down. All of the growth stocks are down, year over year, quarter over quarter, they're down. And so I don't stress about stuff like that because I invest in, again, that's just my philosophy though. This is nothing against people who invest in growth stocks. I'm just keeping it real. Yeah.
I'm sorry. You probably know this better than I do. We should have said this in the beginning. Yeah. What is this disclaimer?
This does not constitute advice. I don't know who's listening, this is not advice. I might be invested or not in some of these different things, but this is educational purposes only.
Thank you.
Yes, you're welcome.
I'll put it in the buffer before this, but I just want to make sure we are only talking on our opinion.
That's
this is
exactly
not
right.
advice. It's only education.
That's exactly right.
Okay,
that's exactly right. So growth stocks is kind of that I hope that analogy made sense when I'm comparing it to a flip versus.
And I was actually thinking the same exact analogy, just do based on what's happening right now in the market. Some people got out, the market went up, they sold their house, they made a lot of money, but guess what? That money is being spent every day. You're not making any more money. And right now, some people who wanted to get out, they can't sell their houses. They're still in the market. They're like, oh, my neighbors, everybody's holding on. So. Dividends. One thing I will hit on before, I'm not gonna hold you here. Hopefully I could bring you back for another episode. But one thing you talked about, you hit on before, was reinvesting your dividends, and that's part of what my savings portion is. But I'd like for you to speak on that, and then I'll let you go, and we can bring you back another day for another show. So
perfect. Yeah,
Speak on.
it's a very simple concept. If you begin investing in stocks that pay dividends, one of the things that, one of the assumptions that I'm making is that you don't need this income from the dividends immediately, right? That you want to let it grow over time. So you've got some time frame for your goals, right? So say it's for retirement, it's a 10, 15, 20-year time horizon, right? So what the most efficient way to invest that money is to invest in the dividend stocks, and then there's a simple button. Every online brokerage platform has it, and you just go through and find it, whether it's Schwab, E-Trade, it doesn't matter, Fidelity, whichever one you use. There's a button that you click, and it just simply says reinvest dividends. So you don't have to think about it anymore. And what happens is that every quarter, when you get that dividend payment, you'll see it coming into your brokerage account, and then you'll see it going right back out, and you'll see a purchase of more shares of that same stock. It might be fractional, right? Because if the dividend is only, $50, right, and the stock is trading for, $100, right, you're only going to buy like half a share or whatever, right? It's going to vary. But the idea is that that's going to be your key in your compounding. And also, and I'm sorry to do this, but I'm going to introduce one more term before we go, dollar cost averaging. And dollar cost averaging is really key in the compounding. And it's because nobody can predict, even Warren Buffett or the greatest investors can't predict buying at the exact low. And people who've tried it, or we've gone back and we've done models where we've gone back and we said, okay, well, what if we would have picked at every low and got in the stock at the very right time? You still wouldn't have done as well as someone who had dollar cost averaged, meaning they bought into more shares of the same stocks over and over and over again at regular periods at different prices. Because what does that do for you? When the stock price is low and you get your dividends, you're going to get more shares when it's reinvested because the stock price is going down. If the stock price has gone up, that's fine. You're still investing and you're going to get a few less shares. But over time, you're going to average your cost of the amount of money that you have invested in the shares and your cost basis, right? Like, so the first time I bought AT&T, it might have been $20. And then when I reinvested it the next time, it might have been $18. Then I reinvested it again at $22. But my average is still somewhere around $20, right? Over time. And so that is a very important concept, that you combine that with compounding and you just let that investment go. Solid companies, I'm not talking about ones that, your neighbor said, hey, invest in this brand new penny stock or this hot tip that I got, right? These are the companies that you expect to be around. And there's really solid dividend kings, aristocrats, and those are stocks that have been paying dividends for 25 plus, 50 plus years.
You're dropping more jewels.
25 plus and 50 plus years. Dividend kings, 50 plus years. Not only have they been paying dividends, but they've been paying increasingly higher dividends every single year. Coca-Cola is one of them. Again, not investment advice, but it's just Johnson & Johnson, Procter & Gamble, companies that you know have been around since before most of us have been around.
Okay, I'm gonna stop you right there on that dividends, the dollar cost averaging, and was it the King Aristocrats?
Dividend Kings and Aristocrats.
Yeah,
yes.
I'm gonna stop you right there on that, and I'm gonna bring you back for another episode of Cousin Ed's Corner. I appreciate you so much. Listen, guys, if you're enjoying what you're hearing, please make sure you tell your friends and family about it. 762-333-2032, 762-333-2032. If you have any questions for Dr. Washington, I will definitely play them on the next show for you. If not, send me a text and I'll get them to her. I appreciate each and every one of you, Doc. I appreciate you. Thank you for joining us, and we'll be back with another episode. Love each and every one of you. My pleasure.
Be blessed.
This is AJ Wilson of the Boardroom Podcast, just stopping through Cousin Ed's Corner to say this episode, not the other ones, but this one has been brought to you by the Boardroom Podcast. That's spelt like bread because we always talking about it and we always getting it.
Thank you for listening to Cousin Ed's Corner.